Deep beneath the forests of the eastern United States, the Magicicada holds the ultimate algorithmic survival code. They lock their underground incubation cycles to absolute, non-negotiable numbers, exactly 13 years in the south, and 17 years in the north. Why never 14 or 15 years? To crack this, mathematicians plugged the cicada's biological mechanics into real-number mathematical models. The payload was a brutal truth: if they selected divisible cycles, like 14 or 15, they would constantly breach the surface in sync with neighboring broods. This genetic crossbreeding severely corrupts their biological clocks, causing the next generation to launch off schedule and hopelessly scattered. This catastrophic population drop instantly triggers the Allee effect: they cannot find mates, their defensive lines collapse, they get slaughtered by predators, and they face total extinction. Only the prime numbers 13 and 17 serve as the ultimate temporal bioarmor, allowing them to dodge each other entirely. This natural selection mechanism is so flawless that in the year 2001, scientists fed it into a cellular automaton model, weaponizing it into a computer algorithm capable of auto-generating prime number sequences. So, they survived the cross-breeding math problem. But how do they escape the millions of predators waiting for them on the surface? Ecologist Richard Carbon decoded the strategy: predator satiation. Cicadas do not run. They deploy a brute force numbers game to completely overwhelm the digestive systems of their enemies. Packing nearly 30 bugs into every single square foot, creating a terrestrial biomass heavier than a fleet of fully loaded semi-trucks, they are locked down in isolated forests. The bird swarms gorge themselves until they hit their absolute stomach capacity, completely neutralized and helpless to eat anymore. By turning themselves into an all-you-can-eat buffet from hell, their reproductive efficiency skyrockets exponentially. Next logistical nightmare: buried deep in the pitch-black dirt, how do millions of bugs count exactly 17 years without missing a single beat? By relentlessly draining tree root sap, they directly experience and track seasonal shifts. But the ground temperature is not uniform. Some trees bake in the sun, while hillsides remain in deep shadow. To bypass this thermal discrepancy, the swarm executes a collective decision-making protocol that perfectly mirrors the Ising model in statistical physics, the exact same framework used to explain the synchronized magnetic flipping of atoms. They run short-range underground communications. When a critical mass registers the target temperature, they broadcast the signal, triggering a massive information avalanche. In any given sector, tens of thousands of units are forced to launch to the surface on the exact same night. Stragglers are simply not tolerated. The swarm beats crossbreeding with math, and they beat the birds with sheer density. But they are completely defenseless against the biological weapon lurking right in the root systems: the Massospora fungus. In 2019, the journal Fungal Ecology exposed this catastrophic biochemical hijacking. The fungal spores literally eat away the entire abdomen of the bug, turning it into a tailless drone. Worse, this nightmare pathogen synthesizes its own cathinone, a naturally occurring amphetamine. This hardcore neural stimulant is injected straight into the nervous system, throwing the male cicada into a state of hypersexuality. Even missing the entire lower half of their bodies, they fly and attempt to mate with frantic aggression, acting like flying salt shakers raining infectious biological payloads down on the entire colony. To survive the Ice Age, these creatures were forced to lock their life cycle into an absolute temporal grid. Their ultimate survival weapon is pure mathematics. Returning to the overlap equation, for two colossal swarms running on a 13-year cycle, known as Brood 19, and a 17-year cycle, Brood 13, living right next door to each other, what is the exact countdown to a collision? Thanks to the hardcore rules of prime numbers, the answer is exactly 221 years. That is how long it takes for a dual launch sequence. And that apocalyptic, once-in-a-lifetime convergence was the spring of 2024. After over 2 centuries running dark, trillions of cicadas breached the surface all at once, unleashing a sonic shockwave of deafening intensity. It is the most epic, undeniable proof of the flawless collision between evolutionary biology and hardcore mathematics.